needs a rom-com when you can have a zombie rom-com? From Dracula to Shaun of the Dead, we are looking at some of the greatest horror romances known to man. It's Valentine's Day, but whatever.
Come on, babe. Oh, she's engaged. That was quick. Ed, this is serious.
Or alternately, it's Valentine's Day, hooray! Whether you're an old romantic or you're in the love sucks camp, we have such sights for you in this list of genuinely excellent horror films which also double as love stories. Some are doomed if that's your bag, but others are actually kind of happy endings if you can live with some corpses along the way.
A woman so lovely and intelligent should not be walking the streets of London without her gentleman.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. The original film of Dracula actually opened on Valentine's Day in 1931. After 2 months of promos from Universal Pictures calling it the story of the strangest passion the world has ever known, and ads promising the kiss no woman could resist. Bela Lugosi was a sex symbol on Broadway in the role of the debonair blood-sucking vampire. This was repeated in 1979 when Frank Langella recreated his erotically charged stage role in the film adaptation.
Miss Van Helsing, my savior.
Count Dracula was always sexy, and there has been a romantic heart beating in the undead chest of the former Transylvanian warrior since its inception. But it is Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992 which is best remembered as a lovelorn classic. It has two things going for it: Francis Ford Coppola as director, and a sad and fateful letter in its prelude. Long before Jonathan Harker, Keanu Reeves in this edition, flipped the unique fixer-upper at Carfax Abbey, Count Dracula, played by Gary Oldman, had been pining for a love that spanned centuries. While he was in the battle against the Turks, his beloved wife Elisabetta was tricked into jumping into her own death with false news of his demise. No amount of blood can drown his grief, even as he finally ventures out of his castle to start over in England. He suspects his wife has reincarnated in the body of Mina Harker. Winona Ryder brings the arc of a full love story to her every repose. From the shy and suspicious bride-to-be promised to Harker, to the carnal longing of an endless love, she outlives her immortal count and raises the film to romantic tragedy in epic Gothic fashion. Next up, we have The Phantom of the Opera from 2004, one of the great Gothic horror stories ever conceived for the page. Gaston Leroux's The Phantom of the Opera from 1911 lived on to haunt the whole 20th century with various adaptations and chillers. But the best to set hearts aflutter and to tear them asunder with glorious tragedy is the rather gaudy 2004 big screen adaptation of the Andrew Lloyd Webber stage musical. It's not the best film version of the tale, that would most likely be the 1925 silent classic starring Lon Chaney, nor is it technically the best way to experience Webber's music when it's so much more luscious on stage. And yet, Joel Schumacher's sumptuous adaptation for the screen is the most romantic Phantom film. Not least of all because it is the first movie to keep Leroux's original tragic ending, in which a love that cannot be between a disfigured musical genius and his ingenue muse redeems, if not saves, a life.
I can assure you that this is not in the least bit amusing.
An American Werewolf in London from 1981. John Landis' horror classic is known for being one of the few movies to actually nail it in the two genres of horror and comedy.
I thought you'd be glad to see me. David, you're hurting my feelings.
It's both very funny and really scary, but it's less often celebrated for being a moving love story. David Naughton and Griffin Dunn play best buds David and Jack, a couple of US backpackers visiting the Yorkshire moors when they are attacked by a mysterious beast, which kills Jack and maims David. Weeks later, David wakes up in a hospital in London under the care of a pretty nurse, Alex, and eventually they form a relationship together. As David begins his full moon transformations, he is urged to kill himself by visions of an undead Jack and the victims that he's also killed. But it is the love between David and Alex which is the heart of the movie. It's why we care. Werewolf David transforms over 2 nights of carnage, ultimately finding himself trapped in an alleyway surrounded by police. In a tragic final beat, Alex runs to calm him, telling him that she loves him. For a second, we wonder if love might actually calm the beast. But it's not to be. The final moments turn the funny, gory, scary werewolf movie into a heartbreaking tragedy. Shaun of the Dead from 2004. Simon Pegg wanted to make fun of rom-coms, so Edgar Wright created the Zombie rom-com. Shaun of the Dead is a real old-style zombie movie, the kind that George A. Romero would make. It is shrouded in social commentary, saying that we are already such zombies in our day-to-day ruts, and we wouldn't even know that a zombie apocalypse is actually happening around us. It's also funny as hell.
Why have we got to go to Liz's?
Because we do.
She dumped you.
I have to know if she's all right.
Why?
Because I love her.
All right, gay.
But the bleeding heart of the film lies in the true romance. Shaun is a loser. He likes to drink, play video games, can't keep promises, and never gets his shit together. He can't even remember where he and his girlfriend Liz first met. All her friend cheers when she packs him off to go and live a little. But he comes to life when the undead come to town. He fights hordes of the reanimated corpses of his formerly breeding neighbors to be the winner that Liz has always wanted him to be for the first time in his life. He doesn't do it for survival though. He does it for love. The Mummy from 1932. While several of Universal's monster movies conveniently double up as love stories, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Dracula, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon, just to name a few, it was Carl Fruhn's Tale of Ancient Egyptian Priest Imhotep that remains the studio's most sweepingly romantic entry. Upon discovering the tomb of a 3,700-year-old cadaver, a team of British archaeologists inadvertently revived a long-dead deity. Now released, the mummy is free to pursue a young woman which he believes to be the reincarnation of his long-lost love. Somewhat tame in the fright stakes, The Mummy is in many ways a most successful, epic, century-spanning romance rather than a traditional horror film. Placing the idealistic notion that love transcends time very much at the center, Imhotep remains one of cinema's most dependable romantic leads, hopelessly devoted to the one he loves. Now, we don't have any horror romance shorts of our own to show you this month, but we actually have a few romance shorts from early on in the filmmaking years when I myself was still discovering the process. One of these films actually dates back to 2006 and was the follow-up to The Tale of Gabriel Grubb, which you can also see on this channel. So whether you think love is a horror show, a fantasy, or you just want to stick around to see some of our older productions, stay tuned as we will be releasing one video a week throughout the month of February. And then we will be back in March with a brand new horror short film and also a continuation in the behind the scenes of A Promise of Light. This time we will be diving deep into the post-production process of the film. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.